Good evening. This is CTV News for Friday, February 2nd. I'm Denise Douglas.
And I'm Patricia Malone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, the Prince George's Police Department and the University of Maryland are taking on the issue of unconscious bias. The program aims to eradicate any biases that may exist in the department. Byron Scott has more.
Chief Hank Stawinski said there was no one thing per se that caused the department to take this step other than to improve the relationship and the effectiveness of the department on the community.
This, in my opinion, is groundbreaking work that takes American policing to a new place.
The Prince George's Police Department is tackling the issue of implicit or unconscious bias head-on. The department began working on it 2 years ago, teaming up with the University of Maryland.
We went out and talked to the residents to see what kind of implicit bias training program would they like to see. We interviewed over 200 residents. We also talked to officers, and we rode along with officers. We went through the Citizens Police Academy.
Implicit bias can be hard to quantify. Researchers say we all have them, but for law enforcement and a public that may have little trust in it, such inclinations can lead to bad results.
So implicit bias isn't solely about race or racism. Instead, it's about any sort of ism, any form of difference.
Everybody has biases. Everybody has biases, but when they go unchecked for an officer, it could be a matter of life and death.
County Executive Rashawn Baker attended today's announcement.
How do we make sure, as people are patrolling, that that doesn't happen, that they don't get stopped for no reason, that the interactions are positive? And the only way to do that is to face issues head on.
Here's how the program will work.
Every Tuesday, we will have 50 officers come to the University of Maryland College Park. There'll be 3 major components to the training. The training will go from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We'll have some standard lecture.
Officers will also go through dozens of 3D virtual reality scenarios of real-life situations.
What we're trying to make sure that we do, according to what Chief was saying, we really believe that we're not trying to pick on the one who isn't doing well, but look at all the ones that are doing well and see how we can train better for the future for other officers to think about how they have biases and to move past those biases so we can move towards a bias-free policing.
The cost of the program, according to the chief, is about $150,000 over several years. The results, he suggests, can be priceless.
My long-term goal is to change the expectations of this community about the Prince George's County Police Department.
The training begins on the first Tuesday in March and goes through the first Tuesday in November. The department will then evaluate the officers, talk with them, also talk with residents to determine the effectiveness of the program. Now, the chief says this is not a silver bullet. He calls this a first step. At the police headquarters, Byron Scott, CTV News.
Thank you for that story, Byron. Meanwhile, the state of Maryland plans to sue the Trump administration over the new tax bill. Attorney General Brian Frosh is joining other states in the action. The lawsuit will challenge the $10,000 federal cap on state and local property and income tax deductions. The changes to itemized deductions would cause almost 600,000 Marylanders to lose over $6 billion. Now, drive sober or get pulled over. That's the message to motorists this Super Bowl weekend. Maryland State Police will be out in full force looking for impaired drivers. AAA Mid-Atlantic says local police made dozens of arrests during last year's Super Bowl weekend.
This weekend, Super Bowl weekend, we're expecting a very busy weekend. We're out looking for impaired drivers, not only by alcohol, but it's drugs as well. It's not worth your life or someone else's life. Just take that extra minute, call somebody for a ride. You have friends, there's Uber services around, Lyft, cabs, Metro access. So there are services out here so people can get home and to their destination safely.
So if you're going to celebrate the Super Bowl with some libations, make sure you have a designated driver. 9 tax preparation sites have been ordered to stop doing business. Comptroller Peter Franchot ordered the action after finding that his office characterizes a volume of questionable returns. Here are the locations in Prince George's County: Rhonda's Tax Service in Suitland and 1866 Mobile Tax in Temple Hills. In 2017, the comptroller's office blocked suspicious tax returns at 95 preparation sites.